All right, welcome back. I hope you're ready for part 2 of our current affairs deep dive, specially made for all you ambitious UPSC aspirants.
We're diving deep into those crucial topics, the ones that really demand that deeper understanding. The kind that sets you apart in the UPSC exam.
Exactly, we're not just skimming the surface here. It's all about the why behind the what, analyzing those connections, the ones that can really make or break your UPSC preparation. Ready to get started?
Absolutely. Let's jump right in with a topic that's causing a real buzz in the economic world. The Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC as it's commonly known.
Okay, ONDC, yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that. It sounds like it could really shake things up in e-commerce.
It really could. But it's not just another platform. Think of it more like a set of rules. A framework that enables different e-commerce platforms to connect and work together seamlessly, creating a level playing field for everyone.
So it's like building bridges between these separate digital islands, letting consumers access a wider range of products and services no matter what platform they're using.
Precisely. Now think about the impact this could have in India, with millions of small retailers and a rapidly growing digital economy. ONDC could unlock enormous economic opportunities, especially for those who've been left out of the e-commerce boom.
Yeah, and it's not just talk, is it? I mean, I read reports about major players like SBI, ICICI Bank, even the National Stock Exchange is investing in ONDC. That's a pretty strong vote of confidence.
Absolutely. That kind of support from those big institutions, it really adds credibility to the initiative. It suggests that ONDC could be a real game changer. But for a UPSC aspirant, it's not enough to just know what ONDC is. It's about understanding its potential impact, the challenges it faces, how it fits into India's digital economy. Those policies like Digital India.
Right, right. That's a really good point. Okay, let's switch gears to a topic that's always important for the UPSC, environmental protection. There have been some big updates to the Environment Relief Fund scheme, or ERF. They're aiming to improve the relief system for victims of accidents involving hazardous substances.
Definitely. And these changes show a move towards a more centralized and hopefully a more efficient approach. The ERF will now be managed by the central government directly, with the Central Pollution Control Board, the CPCB, handling the disbursement of funds.
So, streamlining the process,
Yeah.
cutting down on the bureaucratic hurdles, making sure that the relief gets to those affected more quickly, especially considering how complex these situations are.
Exactly. But it's not just about speed. This centralized approach also means there's going to be a dedicated fund managed by the CPCB, a fund specifically for environmental restoration if there's an accident. Think about the potential for long-term environmental recovery.
It's like a safety net, not just for the victims, but for the environment as well. Okay, let's move on to a topic that often presents a tough dilemma for policymakers: balancing environmental conservation with the rights of local communities. The Virangana Durgavati Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh has come under scrutiny. There are concerns about potential violations of tribal rights under the Forest Rights Act.
This case brings up a critical issue that comes up often in the UPSC exam: the interplay between development, conservation, and the rights of indigenous communities. The Forest Rights Act, or FRA, recognizes and protects the rights of forest-dwelling communities to their traditional lands and resources.
It recognizes that these communities have such a deep connection with the forest. Their livelihoods, culture, their well-being is tied to the health of the ecosystem.
Exactly. So when you have conservation efforts, like establishing a tiger reserve, it's crucial to make sure the rights of these communities aren't being violated. The investigation into the Virangana Durgavati Tiger Reserve is looking into whether due process was followed in recognizing and protecting those rights under the FRA.
It's such a delicate balance, isn't it? Protecting endangered species and conserving biodiversity, but also upholding the rights of communities who've called these forests home for generations. The outcome of this investigation could have major implications, setting precedents for other cases.
Absolutely. This is a situation that needs a nuanced understanding of the legal framework.
So for some, it's a matter of survival, even if it means risking their lives in those mines.
Right. But it's not just about economic desperation. There are also issues with enforcement, especially in those remote areas. The legal framework around land ownership and mining rights, well, it can be complex, leading to loopholes that are exploited.
It's a stark reminder that laws and regulations only work if they're enforced. This incident shows that a multi-pronged approach is needed. We need to tackle the economic drivers, strengthen those enforcement mechanisms, and address those regulatory complexities. For a UPSC aspirant, this is a valuable case study, showing the challenges of sustainable development, the limitations of legal frameworks, and the ethical considerations around labor practices.
Absolutely. It highlights the need for those holistic solutions that consider everything: environmental protection, economic development, and social justice.
Now let's shift our focus to the international scene. There's been an interesting development in Indo-US relations. The U.S. is taking steps to strengthen its nuclear ties with India.
Yes, the U.S. is working on removing several Indian entities from its restricted entity list. This move could clear the way for smoother nuclear trade between the two countries, a sign of deepening ties and a recognition of India's growing influence globally.
It seems like a step toward reviving the 2008 Indo-US Nuclear Cooperation Agreement, that landmark deal that ended decades of restrictions on nuclear trade with India.
It is. That agreement, often called the 123 Agreement, was a major breakthrough. It acknowledged India's commitment to the peaceful use of nuclear energy. Removing these Indian entities from the entity list would get rid of a big obstacle in implementing that agreement, making collaboration easier in areas like nuclear technology and fuel supply, the development of civilian nuclear power projects.
This is really significant for India's energy security goals and its plans to expand its nuclear energy program. It also shows how the geopolitical landscape is changing, with India and the U.S. finding more common ground, things like energy security, counterterrorism, and regional stability. For a UPSC aspirant, this highlights the importance of understanding international relations, strategic partnerships, and how economic and geopolitical factors interact.
It does. It's a dynamic relationship with significant implications for both countries and the global order.
All right, let's take a quick break from Earth and venture into space. There's been a fascinating discovery, a new galaxy forming at the end of a tidal tail. A stream of stars and gas stretching from another galaxy. Just imagine a cosmic dance millions of light years away.
It really is a glimpse into those grand processes of galaxy formation and evolution. Tidal tails, they're like cosmic fingerprints, giving clues about galactic interactions and mergers. By studying them, astronomers can learn about these encounters and how galaxies evolve over billions of years.
It's mind-boggling, the sheer scale of it all. This discovery is especially interesting because it sheds light on the formation of ultra-diffuse galaxies. Those faint galaxies that have puzzled astronomers. It's like watching a cosmic construction project.
It is. This discovery adds to our understanding of galaxy formation, pushing the boundaries of what we know about the universe. It might not directly appear in the UPSC syllabus, but it speaks to the importance of scientific advancement and staying curious about the world around us, or in this case, the universe around us.
Now let's come back to Earth and look at some quick but important developments in India, each giving a unique insight into the country's landscape.
Let's start with a fascinating historical discovery. The idol of Saint Narahari Tirtha, a prominent Dvaita philosopher from the 13th century, has been found in a temple in Visakhapatnam, a significant find for scholars and those interested in India's spiritual heritage.
A tangible link to the past. Saint Narahari Tirtha was a revered figure in the Dvaita Vedanta school of philosophy, known for his scholarship and influence on the Bhakti movement. This discovery helps us understand this period of history better, enriching our knowledge of India's philosophical traditions.
It does, highlighting the importance of archaeological discoveries in piecing together India's past. Now, for a quick update on India's space program, ISRO has achieved something remarkable with its CRPS experiment. Cowpea seeds sent into space have sprouted leaves in microgravity.
This is ISRO's first biological experiment in space, a significant step in understanding how plants grow beyond Earth, crucial for long-duration space missions and the possibility of having humans live beyond our planet. Growing food in space is essential for sustaining life and reducing our reliance on Earth.
You're right. This experiment opens up exciting possibilities for future space exploration, highlighting India's capabilities in space research and contributions to the global scientific community.
Okay, turning our attention to legal matters. The Supreme Court has made an important ruling about foreigners facing criminal charges in India. They can't leave the country while facing these charges, emphasizing that the law applies to everyone, regardless of nationality.
This ruling is based on the Foreigners Act of 1946 and the Foreigners Order of 1948. They give the government power to regulate the entry, departure, and presence of foreigners in India. It reinforces equality before the law, ensuring accountability for everyone within India's jurisdiction.
This is a big step in ensuring accountability and preventing people from escaping legal proceedings.
It sets a clear precedent and strengthens India's judicial system, demonstrating its commitment to upholding the rule of law.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground already. Economics, environmental issues, international relations, space exploration, historical discoveries, and legal developments. It's been a whirlwind of current affairs. But we're not done yet. There's still more to explore, analyze, and unpack.
We'll be back soon with the next part of our deep dive. But in the meantime, we encourage you to dig deeper into any of the topics that caught your attention. Remember, critical thinking, analyzing in depth, and connecting the dots. Those are key for success in the UPSC exam.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the rest of this deep dive and our future episodes, packed with insights and analysis tailored for UPSC aspirants like you. We'll see you soon for part 2.
Welcome back to our deep dive into current affairs, made just for you ambitious UPSC aspirants.
We're back for more. Ready to unpack some key developments, the ones that are sure to pop up in your exam prep.
We're going deep, analyzing those connections that'll give you an edge in the UPSC.
It's about understanding the why behind those headlines, the whats. So, ready to dive back in?
Absolutely, let's go. We'll kick things off with some good news for the steel industry. The government's launched the second round of the Production-Linked Incentive Scheme, the PLI scheme. This time they're focusing on specialty steel.
Oh, interesting. The PLI scheme's been in the news a lot lately, but this focus on specialty steel, that seems strategic.
It is. It's called PLI Scheme 1.1, and it aims to move India's steel industry up the value chain. It's about going beyond just basic steel, encouraging the manufacture of those high-grade, specialized steel products, the ones in high demand globally.
So boosting India's competitiveness on the world market, reducing reliance on imports, creating new opportunities for Indian steelmakers.
Exactly. And from a UPSC point of view, this is a prime example of how the government uses policy to achieve economic goals. Think about the potential for industrial growth, jobs, and even India's trade balance.
Yeah, it aligns with initiatives like Make in India and that push for self-reliance in key sectors.
It does. It also shows how important it is to understand how economic policies are put into action and their impact on different sectors.
Okay, let's switch gears to agriculture, where sustainability is taking the lead. Sikkim's launched India's first Organic Fisheries Cluster, a real pioneering effort in promoting eco-friendly fish farming.
This cluster, in the Sorong district, it's all about aligning fish farming with environmental sustainability, meeting that growing demand for organic, responsibly sourced food.
I'm curious, what exactly does organic fisheries involve?
It's about creating a healthy ecosystem. No harsh chemicals, no antibiotics or pesticides, those things that pollute water and harm the environment. Instead, they use natural methods to keep the water clean, control pests and diseases, and ultimately produce great fish.
A win-win then. Good for the environment, consumers, and the local economy.
It is, and it's in line with the goals of the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, or PMSY, bringing a blue revolution to India, focusing on the sustainable development of fisheries, using modern techniques, and making sure those who depend on this sector are taken care of.
It's great to see how these initiatives are changing things, creating new opportunities for growth, but keeping sustainability in mind.
It shows that progress doesn't have to come at the cost of our environment.
Now let's look at the international scene. There's been an interesting development within BRICS.
Yes, BRICS has expanded, welcoming Indonesia, Southeast Asia's biggest economy, into the group.
This really expands BRICS' reach and influence, especially in that strategically important Indo-Pacific region.
Think about it. BRICS started with just Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Now we have South Africa, Indonesia, and newcomers, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. It's a real force on the global stage.
It's a platform for these nations to work together, advocate for change in global institutions, and challenge the dominance of those Western-led institutions.
Absolutely. The expansion of BRICS shows that the balance of power is shifting. These emerging economies are gaining ground.
Okay, let's look at a successful initiative closer to home. The Ministry of Power is celebrating a decade of the UJALA scheme, an initiative that's been key in promoting energy efficiency in India.
The UJALA scheme, Unat Jyoti by Affordable LEDs for All, has brought those energy-efficient LED bulbs to millions of homes. Remember when it started as the Domestic Efficient Lighting Program, DELP?
It's come a long way. It's the world's largest zero-subsidy domestic lighting program.
The impact's been huge. Think about those cost savings for people. Over 19,153 crore every year. Then there's the reduction in CO2 emissions, around 3.87 core tons per year.
And the energy saved, a massive 47,883 million kilowatt-hours annually.
A perfect example of how a well-executed policy can make a real difference, impacting both individuals and the environment.
It also shows the government's focus on sustainable development, energy security, and meeting those climate change commitments.
It does. Okay, let's talk infrastructure development. There's been a significant development in Jammu and Kashmir. The Banihal Bypass is complete.
This is a big one. It's going to change connectivity and transportation in the region.
The Banihal Bypass, a 2.35-kilometer stretch of National Highway 44, bypasses the town of Banihal, cutting travel time and easing congestion. NH44 is a vital link connecting Srinagar in the north to Kanyakumari in the south.
So the Banihal Bypass will benefit local communities and improve connectivity across the country, making it easier to move goods and people.
Exactly. It also has strategic importance. Makes it easier for security forces to move around the region. The bypass connects Karpora, Banihal, and that new Navyuga tunnel, bringing travel time down to just 7 minutes.
Incredible how these projects have a ripple effect, impacting transportation, the economy, and security.
A testament to India's commitment to building better infrastructure, boosting economic growth, and strengthening national security.
We've covered so much in this segment: economic policies, agricultural innovations, global alliances, and infrastructure. Each topic has valuable insights for you UPSC aspirants, highlighting how interconnected these sectors are and the complex challenges and opportunities India faces.
Remember, it's not just about memorizing facts, but truly understanding the issues, the trends, connecting the dots.
Exactly. And remember, we're just getting started. We'll be back with the final part of our deep dive, exploring even more fascinating developments. All right, welcome back, everyone. We're at the final part of our current affairs deep dive. We've got some more insightful topics for you, our dedicated UPSC aspirants.
We're going to be exploring some really fascinating new research. It's changing how we understand, well, how our genes influence our health, and we'll dive deeper into some of India's key economic initiatives.
All about making connections, right? Analyzing those developments that could shape those UPSC exam questions. So are you ready for this final part?
Absolutely. Let's start with a dive into the world of genetics. Researchers have been looking into this concept called selective silencing. It's changing how we think about the link between genes and disease.
Okay, selective silencing. I'm all ears. What exactly is that?
Well, you see, every cell in our body, except for sperm and egg cells, has 2 copies of each gene, one from each parent. But, and this is the fascinating part, some cells can actually silence one of these copies. They essentially choose which parent's gene to use.
So it's like our cells have this power to choose which genetic instructions to follow. What does that mean for our health?
Well, it could be revolutionary. This selective silencing might explain why some people with genes linked to diseases never actually get sick. Their cells might be silencing that bad copy of the gene, stopping the disease from developing.
Wow, that's amazing. It changes everything we thought we knew about genes and health. It opens up so many possibilities, right?
It does. Imagine therapies that target this silencing mechanism, turning off those harmful genes or turning on the good ones. It could change how we treat genetic diseases.
It sounds like something out of science fiction, but it could be the future of medicine. Okay, let's switch to economics. The government's announced another big move to boost domestic steel production, launching PLI Scheme 1.1, focusing specifically on specialty steel.
This builds on the success of the first PLI scheme for steel, which aimed to increase production overall. PLI 1.1 is more targeted, incentivizing the production of those high-grade, specialized steel products, the ones the world really wants.
Pushing the Indian steel industry up, not just making more steel, but making those special kinds used in high-tech industries.
Precisely. We're talking about coated steel, high-strength steel, electrical steel, essential for automotive, aerospace, renewable energy, infrastructure.
Strategic move, especially with global demand for these types of steel growing.
Absolutely. It's about reducing our dependence on imports, becoming more self-reliant, and positioning India as a global hub for this specialty steel manufacturing.
This is a perfect example of how economic policies are used to achieve those specific goals. Something for you UPSC aspirants to keep an eye on. Let's wrap things up with a story about that growing focus on sustainability in India. We're talking about that launch of India's first Organic Fisheries Cluster in Sikkim.
It's a pioneering effort, promoting those eco-friendly fish farming practices, aligning everything with environmental sustainability and balance.
It's about producing top-quality fish while minimizing that environmental impact. and making sure local communities benefit.
Exactly. It fits with the goals of the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, PMMSY, to revolutionize India's fisheries sector using sustainable practices and new technology.
A great example of how traditional industries can change to meet the demands of a changing world, and making sure sustainability and responsibility for the environment are priorities.
It is. It shows that economic growth and protecting the environment can go together.
And that brings us to the end of our current affairs deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from groundbreaking research to economic initiatives and those innovative approaches to sustainable development.
We really encourage you to explore these topics further, make those connections, think critically about what it all means. The UPSC exam isn't just about facts. It's about showing that you understand the issues shaping India and the world.
And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future episodes. Until next time, keep learning, be curious, and all the best for your UPSC journey.